Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. This is part four, the final part of my TEDx story. And I have to tell you, this episode is a little different than the first three because the first three episodes, I was reflecting to you a story that had already happened. I was sharing how I felt when I first had the idea for a TEDx talk back in 2021 and all the reasons that I talked myself out of applying. I shared how I felt doing the tedious, boring work of applying to these talks and the very real rejections that I experienced. Basically, the first three episodes was me looking backwards. This episode I am recording just days before I go on stage. The talk is happening this week. It's on Saturday, August 29th in Philadelphia, and my topic is Overthinking, the hidden cost of mental time travel. The irony is not lost on me that I am an expert overthinker, which is why I know the personal cost of getting stuck in overthinking cycles. So this episode is not being narrated from memory. I'm actually living this one in real time, and I wanted to record it that way on purpose because what I'm feeling this week is such an important part of this entire story. But first, if you are joining this series brand new, welcome back. I'm Dr. Priyanka Venugopal. I'm an OBGYN physician turned stress and weight loss coach, and I'm giving a TEDx talk this weekend. Over the past few weeks, I have been sharing my TEDx story, where I got the idea, all of the things that held me back, some of my biggest challenges and obstacles that I had to overcome, and the many real moments that almost took me off track. So if you missed any of those, I'm not going to recap all of them here. I suggest you pause here and go back and binge them in order. They're short episodes, and I think this episode will land differently once you've heard the whole arc. Okay, so here we are. The idea happened, the decision happened, the work happened, the rejections happened, and finally the yes happened. And now we're just a few days away. Here's the part that I was not expecting, that nobody told me about in this final stretch of making this dream become a reality. I assumed that this part of my TEDx story would feel almost like a victory lap. I thought that the hardest parts were behind me, which was the application, the rejections, and of course the acceptance. I thought that in this part of the journey, I would be feeling pure excitement and maybe just a little bit of nerves. But my friends, that is not what has been happening. The closer that I have been getting to this date, the louder my stress archetypes have become. I wanted to name what this actually sounds like in my head because if you can start to spot your stress archetypes, we can start to really change some of our responses. The internal dialogue that is happening in my brain is, what if you get up there and forget everything? You've rehearsed it, but have you rehearsed it enough? It sounds like maybe that third section needs to be rewritten, or maybe the opening isn't as strong as it should be. In the beginning of having any big goal, whether it's a health goal or a goal like this, our stress archetypes try to stop us from even starting. That was episode one. But at the end of the goal, when the thing is actually about to happen, our stress takes on a slightly different role. For a lot of overachievers, and this is definitely a big one for me, it shows up as perfectionism. Here's the sneaky logic that my brain has been operating with. The dream is so close now, which means it feels like I actually have something real to lose. When it was just an idea in my head and no one knew about it, failing was just theoretical. But now there's an actual date, a location, a stage, there's a room full of people, friends and family are coming, there's a camera, it's being recorded. And so my primitive brain has done the math and basically decided we need to make this absolutely land perfectly for us to be okay. And what I had to catch this week is it's simply that fear of failing coming back, but with a costume change. Part of the reason that I was able to catch myself in this stress archetype so quickly is, again, coming back to my health and weight loss journey. When I was losing the 60 pounds, I still remember the strangest season for me in the entire journey wasn't actually at the beginning or in the middle. It was at the very end. That last stretch when I was genuinely close to my goal, I actually felt like I had so much more to lose. Even though I had developed skills and built momentum and the evidence was literally on the scale, the stress that I was experiencing around the possibility of losing those results also got a lot louder. And we all know what happens when we experience more stress. For all of us, our cravings go up, the urges go up, our sleep goes sideways. I was manufacturing the exact conditions that was making my maintenance harder. But here's what finally got me through that final stretch in my health goals and what has helped me apply that to this part of my TEDx journey. It is $1 million skill, and it's the entire purpose of today's podcast episode. We have to separate the outcome from the transformation. Let me tell you what I mean by that. The outcome is a number on the scale. It's a finish line. It's actually delivering the talk on a TEDx stage. The outcome is the moment that other people can see. But the transformation is who you have become in the journey to get there. And what I realized this week as I was standing mid spiral in my perfectionist thinking, the transformation part for me in terms of this TEDx story is actually already done. The woman who's going to be giving this talk on August 29th already exists. She is the one who finally stopped squashing the idea. She is the one that did the boring work on the days where there was zero motivation. She's the one who walked herself through rejection, cried about it, learned from it, and applied again. She's the one that did the work this past year. And whatever happens on that stage on Saturday, none of that can get taken away. That transformational win is already in the bank. The talk that happens on Saturday is just the moment that the rest of the world gets to see. And that was exactly what I noticed with my health and weight loss journey. The scale hitting a specific 3-digit number was one morning, one day. It was a flash in time. But the woman I became on the health and weight loss journey, the woman who prioritized herself, regulated her stress, got back on track when she had sideways moments, who kept promises to herself, who learned how to say no to things without deprivation and FOMO, who did some of the tedious, unglamorous work, who learned how to prioritize herself deeply, that was the transformation it took to get to that final finish line. Because this is the thing that overachievers often get backwards. We confuse nerves with a warning sign or a signal to stop. In my experience now, nerves is just what it feels like when you really care about something. If I didn't care about this talk, I would feel nothing. So what I've been reminding myself of this week is the flutter that I'm experiencing isn't evidence that something is going wrong or I have to deliver something more perfectly. It's just evidence that something really matters to me. And that's the thing I keep reminding myself of. This is just what it feels like to be a human who's doing something new. Doing the actual work, the tedious work, and handling the rejections and the fails and blazing that path forward, that's the brave part. And that's the one I want all of us to start recognizing in ourselves more often. I've been practicing a feeling of gratitude to myself for the willingness to do the scary, uncomfortable thing. And I think for many years up until this point, I don't think I knew to do that or I didn't know how to. And I've started to wonder whether that feeling of gratitude where you really recognize yourself for choosing the scary thing, for doing the hard thing, for doing the tedious, boring work, and for handling the sideways moments, what if we could have just a little bit of gratitude to ourselves for being on the journey, for choosing the brave option? Every time I remind myself of that and I come back to gratitude to myself for being on the journey, I notice the flicker of nerves start to dissipate. And I genuinely feel so much better. The next time that you hear my voice, I will have given my TEDx talk. It's really wild of me to say this, and I know I've been reflecting on this TEDx journey quite a bit in the past few weeks, but this has been a dream for years. 4 years of squashing the idea, 1 year of very real work working on it, and 4 episodes sharing the story with all of you. And the next episode I record will be after this TEDx talk, which means I have decided to record a bonus episode in this series because I can't leave you hanging. I'm going to come back right after I deliver this talk live and share how I feel fresh out of the experience. I want to give you the entire behind the scenes, the day of, the backstage, the red circle, how it feels to be in front of people delivering a talk that matters to me, and I cannot wait to share that experience with all of you. Before I go, if this series has shown you anything, I hope it's the thing standing between you and your big dream or goal was never a lack of discipline. It was never that you weren't ready or that you needed more time in your calendar. The thing that holds most overachievers back from achieving the big dream or the big goal is usually a stress archetype. And the beauty of this is stress patterns can be caught, changed, and we can retrain our brain to respond differently. So if you haven't done this yet, I really encourage you to go and take my stress archetypes quiz. It takes just a few minutes. You can go grab it over at burnstressloseweight.com/stress. We'll answer a few questions, uncover your primary stress archetype, and then I will email you a list of resources with how you can walk through that experience with a little bit more power. Thank you for walking on this entire journey with me and your support in listening to this podcast. If this series has resonated with you, I would love for you to leave this show a rating and review. Share this series with a friend or your local community because I would really love for this message to get out to more professional women. Sharing this story with all of you as unfiltered as possible and as honest as possible has made it mean so much more for me, and I really appreciate all of you being here. I'll see you on the other side of the red circle. Bye.